would say that he's 100% correct, and I can think of one more person who also knows that he's correct, even though that person will never give this person any credit for saying it.
I think that if you are black, white, Asian, I think if you stand up, self-respect, work hard, try your best, turn up on time, firm handshake, don't make excuses for anything, don't look for an easy way out, no matter what your skin color is, in America or England or any other Western nation, I think you can be extremely successful. I don't think anything's stopping you.
That's not the message you get from, say, Kamala Harris, who's also mixed race. Her dad was Jamaican.
Concerned that the messaging that they've engaged in for quite some time now toward the Black community is to some extent insulting toward them and infantilizing toward them and stereotypical. So like it was kind of jarring to me in the whole affirmative action debate. And there seems to be this like weird agreement that I don't agree to, that like.
Before we get started, I want you to know right now that I've never done any videos on Andrew Tate, and there are a multitude of reasons for that, and the main one being that I just don't know enough about his cases in Romania to put full stock into them and to fully buy in. However, if somebody says something that's 100% correct, you need to kind of give them credit for it, and of course that's what we're talking about. Is the left creating a very, very, let's just say, large propagandized loser mindset? And as you guys saw, there's already one more person out there who's kind of come to the realization that what Andrew Tate said was true, even though that person that you saw was Anna Kasparian, and she obviously will never ever give that man credit for it, even though that little piece was a piece that I took from a previous video that I did on her. And of course it had nothing to do with Andrew Tate, but obviously the messaging is in fact the same. You got to wonder if the left's mindset on things like race and affirmative action and just go ahead and say the CRT thing, which by the way, in a lot of ways tells black people that they are inferior to white people because quite frankly, it focuses mostly in on white people. It is very, very much anti-white. And anything that is associated with success, of course, is automatically deemed to be white. So you can make a million different arguments on that topic. Either way, though, it does obviously make its main argument being the anti-white argument because, quite frankly, it overshadows any other argument that it has, which, quite frankly, makes everything else in the conversation about that topic completely redundant because, for the most part, it is, in fact, anti-white. So anti-white that everything else almost does not matter, even though it obviously does hit everything else. But that right there is obviously a pretty long-winded open, and now that I've got that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into this. Oh, and one more thing, too. There'll actually be a follow-up to this video out tomorrow because Liz Wheeler had some concerns about Andrew Tate's interview, and don't worry, I think I can pretty much put her arguments to rest or any concerns she may have. So who is Andrew Tate? Andrew Tate is obviously a former kickboxer. He has gotten big online. He's branded himself to be pretty much almost like one of the biggest self-help guys out there. A lot of things that he says I think are actually pretty good. I agree with a lot of them. But then again, though, a lot of people have a problem with the way he goes about it and obviously the things that he is being accused of. Now, we're not going to be covering the full interview that he had with Tucker, but there's this one little thing that he did say, and you guys obviously caught a piece of that at the very beginning that is 100% accurate and 100%, completely spot on. We're creating a society full of losers. Let's go ahead and roll this first.
Totally offended by it. If someone were to come up to me and say, "You're not white," I'd say, "Correct. Have a nice day." Who cares? It's amazing how they've got everyone wrapped up in this. But yeah, it's certainly accelerated. Another thing that's very interesting about it, especially in America, a lot of Americans are insulated to, I feel like, world history.
Yeah, I've noticed.
You know, they're like, "Oh, slavery, slavery, slavery." Slavery was everywhere. Every country had slaves. The Arabs had slaves, the Chinese had slaves, Aztecs had slaves. Everybody had slaves.
The American Indians had slaves.
Everybody did.
A lot of slaves.
Correct. And they're like, "Oh, we've been enslaved." Everyone was enslaved. Unfortunately, the world wasn't such a nice place, right? And there's been ethnic divisions in every single country on earth since the dawn of time. There still is in many countries in the world today. They believe this is a uniquely American issue. And I would strongly argue that, one, it's completely and utterly not. And two, I think that if you are black, white, Asian, I think if you stand up, self-respect, work hard, try your best, turn up on time, firm handshake, don't make excuses for anything, don't look for an easy way out, no matter what your skin color is, in America or England or any other Western nation, I think you can be extremely successful. I don't think anything's stopping you.
That's not the message you get from, say, Kamala Harris, who's also mixed race. Her dad was Jamaican, her mom is Indian.
Really quick, if I did not establish this before, I'm not saying this to be totally on Andrew Tate's train or whatnot. There are some things that, quite frankly, I do have concerns with, and I will be bringing that up in the video tomorrow. That Liz Wheeler, the response to her, because she had a response to Andrew Tate that I thought was a little bit hyperbolic, but don't worry, I will be explaining that, because with just about everything out there, there's such thing called moderation, and I'm pretty sure you can take the good of what somebody is saying and actually apply that. Let's go back in time really quick to Jordan Peterson. When he first came around, he was basically telling men to pick themselves up, clean their rooms, whatnot, and after a while, that message began to get stale, so somebody like Tate immediately took off when he came out. Now, the whole Matrix thing and whether he's being falsely prosecuted, falsely accused, I've seen a lot of reports on that, and a lot of those reports don't seem to add up. But then again, at the same time, though, I honestly don't know enough about the situation of him in Romania to fully dive into that and give an actual proper assessment. I'm just going off of his words right now, and I can already hear somebody saying that he does not fully practice what he preaches with his lifestyle, and you would actually have some points. Like I said, if you want to have that conversation with me in the comment section, that is 100% fine. We can have a back and forth in there. I'm pretty sure me and you may find some middle ground on that, because obviously there are some concerns. But still, at the same time, I got to go by what the man is saying and what the man has said in his overall message, because I've seen a lot of little discussions and a lot of little debates where he has said a lot of things that were fully true. And I've also seen him say some things that, quite frankly, I was not fully on board with. However, this right here is a piece of what he says that I am 100% on board with. Look, slavery was a very, very bad thing. There's a whole hoopla about the Florida curriculum, which, by the way, says that slaves, they learned skills, and obviously you guys know my opinion that I've already told you guys I would have been completely against slavery at that time frame. I believe if you're going to actually have somebody on the job, obviously you need to pay them, not enslave them, not treat them like crap. But then again, at the same time, though, if you actually go back into history and you actually look at what they were doing while obviously being mistreated by the slave owners, you have to actually look at the fact that these people, when they were done with slavery, when they were eventually freed, they would have had some form of skill, like, say, planting crops, I don't know, maybe being a blacksmith, stuff like that. You see, this whole woke push has given us the opportunity to go back in time, actually look at history, study history, and debunk these crazy people's lies, okay? Obviously, we have too many reactionaries out there, and they go out of their way not to extrapolate what could have been learned. Like I said before, slavery was obviously bad, but slavery is taking place across the world everywhere. I mean, it still goes on in Africa. We love to blame the white man for slavery, but yet we don't actually look at the people who actually sold them into slavery, who, by the way, were Africans. We never actually look at that. We never had that discussion. We always forget that England was probably one of the largest, let's just say they had one of the largest abolitionist movement ever, actually ending slavery. Of course, this was before and after our own Civil War here. And, of course, Russia at one point in time, they still had serfs, who, by the way, for the most part, were white, all the way through the time of Alexander II. I just figured I'd go ahead and throw that. And by the way, that was right around the time of our Civil War. Slavery's been going on for a very long time. For the most part, it has ended in a lot of places, a lot of very, very big places, especially in developed nations like the United States, or like in most of all of Europe as a whole. But yet we're not commenting on the slavery that goes on in the Middle East, and we're not commenting on the slavery that goes on in Africa and other nations. We're not commenting on the Uyghur Muslims in China. We're not commenting on that. We just continue to keep beating up on ourselves over what happened in the past, and it's creating a bit of a loser mindset. Yes, it happened. It was a very, very bad thing. But I think we have learned as a society to move on from that, and honestly, to tell you the truth, I could really and truly care what your race is. I care more about who you are, the person, and I care more about your talents. I care about more what you can do. We're not teaching people what they can do. We're teaching people right now, especially people who are on the left, that they are meaningless, that they are worthless, and they have absolutely no purpose in life except to destroy things. And I think that, quite frankly, is creating a lot of the anger in this nation at this moment in time. You know, when you have a whole class full of losers and you continue to tell people that they're worthless and that they're crap, and you continue to tell people this crap right here, after a while, they're eventually going to start acting on that. And next thing you know, you're going to have a lot of angry young men, which, by the way, we'll discuss further in a project that I have coming out in the near future before the end of this year on the upcoming crisis for men post-2024. So when a leftist, or, you know, it's funny, we keep calling Anna Kasparian a leftist. However, there is another YouTube content creator out there called the Aristocratic Utensil who did a video on her. I'll link it in the description box. He made a very, 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 and I mean very strong case. I don't fully agree with it because obviously she's been in the left circle for a very long time, where he basically said that she, for the most part, just adopted the leftist talking points, but that she really and truly did not believe in them. Now, I'm not fully on board with that take, but I'll leave that video in the description box for you guys because it's a very interesting, very, very big, eye-opening thing. I also advise you guys go check out the Aristocratic Utensils channel. He's actually very talented. He's very good. And he's also, quite frankly, really, really witty, very funny. I advise you guys go check it out. So when you hear Anna go on the Stitch and Adam show and express this concern,
point is, you can take some of the injustices in the world or in the country you live in and have that inform every decision you make and have that impact your mentality in regard to what you can and can't accomplish, right? Mm-hmm. And I think to some extent, and I haven't fully formed an opinion on this, right? It's just something that I'm leaning toward and I want to explore it more. I'm a little bit concerned that the left, and at this point I'm talking about the left broadly, I'm a little concerned that the messaging that they've engaged in for quite some time now toward the Black community is to some extent insulting toward them and infantilizing toward them and stereotypical. So like, it was kind of jarring to me in the whole affirmative action debate. And there seems to be this like weird agreement that I don't agree to, that like, oh my God, if we don't have affirmative action, you know, Black people could never get into colleges or universities.
Yeah, that's so bad.
And I just don't like, I don't know, that rubs me the wrong way. Sometimes I'm worried that the messaging, the hyperbolic messaging, because think about it, if you're told over and over again, this country's unfair, you're never going to make it, you're never going to make it, why even try? Why even try? Like, and I'm worried that that disempowers people. So I don't know. It's something that I want to explore more. I want to understand more. Maybe there are some sociologists that have like studied this and researched this. And if you guys have any,
just know that it is starting to become a legitimate concern. We can't keep beating ourselves up over the past. When the hell are we going to move forward? It seems to me like there are always going to be people out there who are going to want to do what? Keep going back to the past, keep bringing up what happened in the past, and never really and truly move forward. Just brood on it. Yeah, there was a period in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s when race was not even a discussion. People really and truly weren't talking about it. I mean, do I have to bring up the graph on how it was that race relations in the United States actually got worse when Obama became president? Of course, he utilized his race every chance he got. Oh, if I had a son, he would look like Trayvon. Stuff like that right there. You know, that type of crap right there is really and truly what led to this entire debacle that we're into. But it gets a little bit deeper.
Do this point with people and they try and say, oh, but this happens, and they pull out these statistics and all this garbage from the Matrix. I say, listen, even if the world's racist against purple people, the best thing you can do is be such an exceptional purple person that they need you, they need you. The only answer is hard work. The only answer is self-accountability, masculine essence, honor, dignity, making your ancestors proud of you because you hold the same last name as them. The answer is the same regardless anyway. But when people like Kamala are pushing this racism agenda, they're trying to say to people effectively, you'll never be anything, and you don't stand a chance of ever being anything. And I think that that makes people who aren't anything feel a little bit better about themselves. It's cope. And that's the only fans she has left, are losers who she's told it's okay to be a loser because there's no way you could have not been a loser. And I will argue you could have been something a lot more than that. And you shouldn't listen to anybody who tells you you're not going to be a loser. If someone were to come to me and say, Andrew, you're mixed race, you're from a single mother household, you're never going to be rich. I'll say, watch me. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Who are you? So everything she's saying is one, wrong. Two, it's destructive to believe in. Three, I think it's her last hope at having any kind of fan at all because she's largely incompetent. I don't think I've ever heard her put a compendious, coherent sentence together. And perhaps also, maybe that's the reason why she leans so heavily on race, because she's not impressive or competent. So she can say, oh, but I'm this color and I did it, instead of actually talking about how good of a job she's doing. Because if you have to discuss that part of her career or that part of her current life path, I think she'd be in a lot of trouble.
100% absolutely correct. It is cope. It's a coping mechanism. Well, the entire world is against me, so I guess I better go ahead and accept my life the way it is. I guess I just better go ahead and accept it the way it is. You know, I guess life is never going to get any better. The white man's going to keep me down. The Asian man is going to keep me down. The Hispanic man is going to keep me down. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but voting for the Democratic Party for so long has led to a border crisis in which you're actually being replaced not only in your neighborhood but at your job, and you're not getting the benefits that, quite frankly, you're looking to get. As a matter of fact, you shouldn't be looking to get benefits. What you should be looking to do is get a job and actually succeed. I know a lot of black people who, quite frankly, do, in fact, work 2 jobs, multiple jobs, and they work their butts off. However, then you get these race baiters out there who demand some form of free crap and some form of justice, as they call it, which I think is a buzzword for I just want to be lazy and get taken care of by the freaking government. By the way, there's white people like that too. Just want to let you know that right now, that there are, in fact, white people who do the exact same thing that Andrew Tate, of course, talks about. The vast majority of these people are angry white liberals who, quite frankly, hate the world. And they really truly have no reason to hate the world, because the vast majority of them come from suburban backgrounds. I mean, ask any one of these leftist content creators like Destiny or Vosh or whoever the hell is on their side, Lance from the Surfs, of course, who got completely annihilated on Tenfold Show, and ask them if they ever worked an actual, honest-to-God, real job in their life. I can promise you right now, they never actually did work a real job in their life. So therefore, they only got by because they stayed on the computer all the time and they said extremely radical crap, and they created a base of people, and the next thing you know, they start believing their own crap. Because I can tell you right now that most normal people don't organically come up with the extremely bad thoughts and bad ideas that they do, unless, of course, somebody with even bigger bad ideas put it in their brain. Do I need to tell you guys the story of Marx and how it was that Karl Marx actually grew up with money, and he decided to scheme his way into more money and out of more money, and he took advantage of people who, quite frankly, were weak-minded? That's really and truly what these people are doing. They're preying on people who have a mental illness, which, by the way, could for the most part be fixed if you just simply coach these people to actually be better men and yes, it's in fact a coping mechanism. There's one more thing that needs to be said, and I'm giving you guys the cutaway here with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. By the way, there's a lot of things that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has said recently that I actually agree with, but at the same time, though, I also know that he is a lib and he's primarying Joe Biden. I probably still wouldn't vote for him in the general, but I definitely prefer him over the current administration, even though you guys know I'm, for the most part, I'm pretty much a Trump guy. I'm very much on the right side of politics. But the thing, the right side of politics. Yeah, there you go. The thing is this right here. This man is in his 60s. He's still working out. He's still putting a lot of effort in. He keeps himself in shape. He doesn't lay around, get fat, or what the left is mostly telling with this whole body positivity thing. You know, be who you are, positive about your weight, even though you're a hamburger or 2 away from having a heart attack. And because most of you leftists don't believe in God, and most of you leftists are atheists, you're going straight to hell, of course, obviously, for not having a belief system. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and say something that is really, really controversial, and I want you guys to hear it. You see, atheism and this laziness actually goes very, very much hand in hand. By the way, Tate mentioned that, and I got my own thoughts about that too. At one point in time, he was an atheist, and he became a Christian. Then, for whatever reason, he chose to become, and we'll cover it more in tomorrow's video, which, by the way, is going to be the only video out there, how he decided to convert to Islam. Of course, eventually he began to believe in God. You know, the reason why I bring this up is because there's this little thing that people oftentimes forget. And by the way, I'm not here to bash every single atheist. I'm not doing that. I know some people who are atheists who, quite frankly, are hardworking. They're very open to ideas. And then I know a good portion of them, most of them, of course, that are on the left that, quite frankly, are just extremely cynical people. Yeah, I got to say this right now. If I ever got stuck in the apocalypse, if I had to have one person that I would not want to have with me in the apocalypse, it's actually an atheist. Most of these people typically tend to be, extremely negative, and in most cases, a lot of them turn out to be, especially the ones that are on the left, not the ones on the right, but definitely the ones on the left, turn out to be actually lazy. Think about it really quick. If this person is not, how do I say, willing to find a belief system, or if this person's too lazy to find a belief system, what the hell makes you think that person's going to collect firewood in the apocalypse? I'm not saying that, by the way, to bash atheists or anything like that. I'm talking about the ones that are primarily leftists who have a complete lack in belief of God, and yet next thing you know, they want this freedom with accountability, but then they oftentimes wonder why things are so screwed up, and yet the answers are abundantly clear. They just don't want to see it. Fact of the matter is that we are creating a society full of losers. We are telling men especially, and women too, regardless of their race, that they are nothing. They're not going to amount to anything, which, by the way, is also something I've been saying for a very long time, that black people need to stop listening to white liberals. Maybe you should listen to white moderates. Maybe you should listen to white conservatives. Maybe you should listen to black conservatives and black moderates. Stop listening to these white liberals, because the only thing they serve to do at the end of the day is keep you in chains and use you as a punchline. Guys, John Claymore here. If you like this content, please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sound off in the comment section. This video will be out tonight at roughly 7 p.m. Eastern. I just want to go ahead and get this video out here. Please leave a comment in the comment section. I would love to get you guys' thoughts, and I shall see you later.
You're a dead man, Ramsey.
No wonder you guys never talk.